Hello and welcome to Words for All Occasions. This tutorial video will show you how we can use this CD as a very simple graphics package. And that's the key to it, with keeping it nice and simple. Now, you've probably seen the walkthrough tour, so you know what everything does. So what I'd like to do now is just show you the elements that are text editable and how we can use them. Not only are they text editable, but we've also got elements that are now graphics that you can copy and paste. And in effect, we're going to mat and layer these up on the page. So if I start off with floral backing papers here. Now these two are on the left are our normal ones. They're just straightforward A4, print them and use them and craft with them. But this one here is a little bit special because it's actually an editable graphics. So if I click onto here, it will open up a page. You will occasionally get something saying you need the graphics permission to open it, and I'll show you that a little bit later on. It'll happen on some of the pages. Now on this one I can click on and we can see that we've got a range of papers here. Now these are what I call swatches. They're actually just a little bit over A5, but they're shrunk down here, and we can just click on them and use them and copy and paste. So I'm going to click onto this one here. Now the secret with this is to go on the PC, the Control key and C. So that gives us our copy and paste, Control and C. And to paste is Control and V. And I'll show you another little control a little bit later on. For the Mac users, we're going to go Apple C and Apple V. Okay, but in future I will just talk about it as a PC. Sorry, Mac guys. It's just going to be a little bit easier for me to concentrate. So now I've copied that. The next thing to do is to paste it. Now you can, if you're not going to be using the papers again, just because it gets a little bit clunky, this program, I'm going to close that down, come back to here, and we're going to open the graphics layout. This is the hub of everything that we do and use. And if I just center that up there, we can now see that we've got a range of options, and we can produce A5 cards in both landscape and portrait and A6. But of course this is just a guide. You can actually make them in any size that you want on there. And again, if I just click onto here, we can see now that we've got our page here. The blue lines are guidelines. That's half of an A5, and the one under here just gives you a square card if you want to make that. They don't print, they're just guidelines. So we come onto the page here, and let me just show you some of the features with this one which really apply to everything. Now to paste it, we've got to go Control V, but we've got to let it know that it's a page that needs pasting, and in effect all you have to do is have something on that page highlighted. Now let me explain. If I click onto the box here, we see the blue flashing little marching ants going around. That means that we're on a page and it tells us that we can paste onto it. There's also a little control bar up here that's invisible, and that's on all of the pages as well. So you can click onto that if nothing's highlighted. So we've got something highlighted, and I'm going to go Control V, and you can see now we've pasted in our piece of paper. Now we can expand this, and I'll just drag it out, and it will go just over the A4 size there for you. Now this method we use is called we've drag and drop. Now we've popped that on there, we've dragged it out to make it larger, but we're going to mat and layer. We're using this mat and layering, and because I've laid that one on top of the heading, that's disappeared. So if that happens to you, what you've got to do is kind of plan ahead when you do this. But if this happens to you, a great little trick is to click onto the word heading there, and now I'm going to go Control X or Apple X. That means I've cut it out, but it's all ready to be pasted. It's just sitting there. So the next control will be Control V to paste it, and that's now the next layer. So it's what we call hierarchical. It just goes in order of where you paste them down. It's not rocket science. It might take a little bit of getting used to. You kind of have to forward plan, but there's nothing that you can't do or undo with it. So we've now got a basic heading and a background here, and really in essence that's what we're doing, just copy and pasting. This opens up in a separate window, so that you will have to, each time that you want to use it, have it open And if I show you what I mean by this, see, there are main programs here, and this one's just sitting on top. Now you can, if you want to, just pop onto there and just minimize it. That will take it down and minimize it, and you can open it up and close it as you need it. What we don't want are too many windows open, and so for every graphics that we have, it'll keep an open window. I'll explain as we go on. But for now, we've got the page here. So if I can just show you some of the sort of fun things we can do with the type. Now we can move the type box around. And obviously what we want to do is be able to type as well. So what you need to do is get the cursor, as you go over it turns into this pointed star. Just go between two letters on there and double click with the left hand mouse button, and you'll see that it now opens it into a text box that we can just drag across as you would with normal text. Incidentally, for the Mac people, it's just a double click on your with your mouse button. Okie dokie, so we've got that. We can now type in something. I'm going to go for a happy birthday here. And this is where it gets fun, because we can now highlight this text, and Control E or Apple E brings you up the typefaces here. So I can change this now to say 48 point, make it bold, and I can change the color as well. I can choose one of the preset colors, or I can go to other color and just choose anything that I want from the menu here. I think that's rather fun. It gives you lots of control. You won't see anything happening on the page here until I go OK and then unhighlight the blue. And there we go. Now with this we can actually move it around as well. I'm just going to click that control bar off, and if I just click outside of the word there and click back on, I can now move it and reposition it anywhere I want in the page. Now another great thing with this, I could actually save it as well. I can go File, Save As, but that's better done on the single pages. And if I can just come back a step, we've got an A4 layout, both landscape and portrait. If I can click onto one of these, and up it comes, and now you can see that I've got a single page here. And the nice thing about this is anything that you put on it you can save. You can do it on the board with 4 of them, it just makes a bigger file. But on this one, if I've done everything, I can just go File, Save As, and then I can save it. I suggest you have a folder somewhere. I'm going to cancel that for the moment. And again, I'm just going to close that window down. We could have worked in that one, but I've just chosen the A5. And for the moment, I'm just going to just not close it down, but just use the tool to collapse the window. So let's come back here and see some of the other things that we've got. We've got word graphics, we've got pledges, we've got frames, and I've also got some floral toppers. Now if I click onto this, again, I can select an object. I'm going to use these ones here. Control C to copy it. And I'm just going to close that down and come back to my grid layout, back to A5. Now that's already highlighted. Remember, I must have some marching ants, as I call them, somewhere. I could use that or the side one. So now I can go Control V and place my vase down here, like so. Now again, I can make this larger or smaller, simply dragging across the box there. But I can also move this one at an angle. If you come up to the bar at the top there, the little handle, I could put it at an angle if I wanted to. I'm going to go Control Z, which undoes it, or Apple Z for you there, and brings it back. And again, as I said, we can make it bigger if we want to. So that's another feature you've got with this. Now if you right hand click, up comes a properties box, and if you want to, you can actually fade the opacity of it. So I could make it just part of the pattern there. I find that once you do that, if I click OK, it's much harder to do anything with this. You can move it, okay, but it doesn't like to be twisted or turned too much, so it's best to get it in position before you've done that. In this instance, I'm just going to undo what I've done and bring that back. And in essence, that's all that we do with the graphics here. It's nice and simple. We just build it up a layer at a time. And it's really a case of exploring what we've got on the CD. So we've had a look at the swatches. You've got a lovely selection there. I'm going to come now to words for all occasions. And on here, on the graphics words, I can just choose, and if it's just say take the word happy as an example, again I click on Control C, and I'm going to return. Or I could, if I want to, if I just cheat a bit, if I just bring this window down, I've got my other one. I think I've got my other one open. No, I haven't. So what I need to do is I'm going to click return on there, return, and that's right, because that was the Word one, and come back to here and open up this one. It's also down on my base of the computer to let me get to it. So I'm back into here and nothing's highlighted, so I need to let it know. So I'm going to just click up on the left hand side to show you how that works. Control V, and in comes the word happy. Okay, now again you can see we can move this around and we can turn it as well as a piece of graphics. If I just take that over there and just show you here, come to that, and it gives me the ability to turn it. And in this instance I'm going to right hand click, go to properties, and that's opaque to nothing. Well, that really wouldn't work very well, would it? And just bring that over and just pop it over there. That just shows you what we can do with it. That's how we can build up an image. This hasn't been particularly exciting, but you could see we can have different layers of paper on here. The one thing you'll notice with the graphic image, and again I'm just going to bring this back, I'm hitting Control Z, and that just takes you back. So if you do something wrong, Control Z or Apple Z, and I've got up to 20 different undos on this. You can see that we can expand it, shrink it, but we can't change it sideways. We can't stretch it. It always stays in proportion. That's the only limitation. But once we click off, we've got a lovely bit of graphics here that's got a see-through background. So that it really does make placing this really lovely as we get all the image underneath it. It'd be quite difficult to cut that out. So in essence, that's how our graphics work on the page. And as I said, we've got our A4 and a different layout here. Now that's great. I wanted to show you that because I'd opened some of them that hadn't come up before. This will come up. It's asking you, do you trust the page? And if you just say yes, allow, and that's going to open it and allow it to go in. It's a security thing. I'm using Adobe Reader 11 here, but this will work on 8, 9, 10 as well. And that may or may not come up depending on which version that you've got. Now this page is a little bit big, so I'm just using the zoom tool here to zoom out. And again, if I just click onto the heading here, the last thing I've got saved, which I think was the word happy, yep, up it comes. And I can place that anywhere that I want. And remember, I've also got that little magic button top left hand corner if I wanted to use that. So that's how our graphics work. And the nice thing about this page is that you can save it as an individual page. Okay, so what I'd like to do is just close this page down, and simply by clicking onto there, or we could just use that button to minimize, but I'm just going to close this down. Do I want to save the changes? No. See, it knows that it's a page that you can save changes on. So click no. And again, we've got our pasteboard there. I'll just minimize that for the moment because we may come back to it. So just to let you know, refresh, we've got the words, lots of birthday ones. Click onto here. Sorry, again, you just click onto one of those. If you want to see a little bit more on it, I'm just going to zoom it down to say 50% and have a little look on the page there. I can see what I've got. You can scroll as well, but it's probably better just to keep going through the menu like this. And then we can see each page as we've got it. Okay, so all of those words can just be used. You just simply click onto it, Control C, and then paste it when you're ready to use it. Now, because this is a separate page, I'm just going to close that one down. Remember, we don't want to close our main page here down. Avoid the red button up here, if you can. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the other things we've got. Again, this is asking me for permissions. I'm sorry, that's a pesky thing. It does keep coming up. If you keep the pages open, then it doesn't. Some it does, some it doesn't. It's just one of these inbuilt security things. Eventually there'll be an update of one of the readers, and that will allow you to set it once. But I have found that does keep happening, and I'm sorry, you just have to live with that one. for the moment anyway. Okay, so we've got our promises. They work in exactly the same way, slightly different. This is a traditional edit and paste lettering in the middle here. And again, if we highlight the copy, you can go Control E and bring up your control panel there. However, you can, if you want to, use these as graphics as well, because they can be selected. Now that will select without the type in here, so you can print and copy and work with these on here if you want to in a traditional way and print them out. And these little pledges are great fun. Or you can then use this, which is a text box, which again you can now copy and paste anywhere you want. You can resize it, make it fit. The type will stay the same size, but the box will change shape, and you can then change the text, so you could copy and paste that once you've moved the box as well. So that's something else we could do. Again, I'm just going to flatten that window for the moment, and we'll just have a look at the text frames, and I will click onto these, and again we've got something which we can work with here. We can copy and paste these anywhere that we want on our graphics board, and we've got the text, which again is in a separate box, which you can pull over and then copy and paste over these as many times as you want, which is why I've only supplied you with one. Two selections in there for you. Each comes with its own words. So we could use that as well as part of your design if you wanted to. Again, I'm just going to click to that. The return key there, that just takes me back to this point. We would have to now close this one down. On your copy, that return key won't be on it. And now we've looked at the flowers. Oh, the other thing to look at now is verses. Now verses act in an exactly normal way, but you can use those to copy and paste into our other graphics as well. This is asking me for permissions. I'm going to go allow and click on to a birthday greeting here, and I can just copy and paste anything that I want from there. I'm going to go copy, just close that down, and then I could paste that. I'm going to bring my graphics board back up, go back to my A5, click onto my magic button, just go Control V. Actually, I didn't need to do that because that wasn't a graphic, that was an ordinary piece of text. What I wanted to show you was how we can use it and add to something here into the birthday if we wanted to. Now, I will need to go back. If I can just click to here, so I'm going a little bit fast. Oh, pick up on anything there. Highlight some text. Now this is ordinary text, so it doesn't need to have that little bar put on there. I'm just going to close that down, come back to my main page here, and again I've got happy birthday. If I double click onto that, I'm into normal text mode. I'm going to go Control V, and you can see now that I've just pasted in my text here. Now you notice that comes up with a wiggly line. That's because there's a spelling mistake. I've just left the F there, so I'm going to just delete that, and that can go back into here. So things get better with age. That's fantastic. Remember, I can highlight this, and that I can go Control E, and I can change the size and the color of that type as well. Gets exciting, doesn't it? I think so. So it's a very basic graphics package, but it will work for you there. I'm just going to reduce that down. So you can see now, in essence, we've really put everything together here. Again, you can multiple copy and paste. That was an accident, but a happy one if I wanted it. And occasionally, just to let you know, you might get a little dialog box shooting off on here, depending on which copy of Adobe you've got. Just click onto the top right to close it down. It usually happens when you double click onto them. I don't know if I can make it happen. There we go. See, I've double clicked. It doesn't always happen. It's only if you quickly double paste and you just click onto there to get rid of that. Normally, if you just click once, you'll be fine. In essence, we're asking a lot from this program. So I would say just be nice and calm and slow with it. Don't try and do things too quickly. It doesn't like it. It can lose the plot sometimes. But if you just take your time, it'll be absolutely fine for you. Now, again, although I've got 6 pages in total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I could save that Or I could just print it out. So just to recap on the graphics board here, I would use this just to do my one-off designs, or perhaps build up little things that I want to matte and layer, because you don't necessarily have to make a complete card out of this. You can matte and layer it, and just make up the elements that you want and need. But I found if you want to just save something, it's best just to use an individual page here, one of the A4s. Okay, I'm going to close that one down. Do I want to save the changes? No. So we come back to here. We can see now that gives us a really quite a nice overview of everything that we can do with this. It's very, very simple. Think of it as a very simple graphics package, which we can just allowing us to copy and paste and matte and layer the images one on top of each other. So a little bit of planning. We can change the size of things, but we can't change the color on an object. We can with type, but if I come back to swatches here, you see I can't actually change the color of it. But you've got a whole selection here for you to use. So Control C, return, and remember on this one I could just you keep the windows down. If you've got a more powerful window, you can just minimize everything, and you'll be absolutely fine. And then I can just come back. I'm going to use this one here, go to my landscape, and again click onto an object, either that or the top right, go Control V, and I could just use this to matte and layer. I could then simply put an object on top and print that out, or because it's on the single page, I could save it. So there we go. Save changes. No, I'm going to close that down. So I hope, as I said, this gives you a good overview of everything that we're doing. We simply use our mouse to position things. We can change the size and the scale in proportion. We're using Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and if you want to cut something, Control X, that keeps it in the memory, then Control V pastes it. The Mac people, you're going to use the Apple key in place of the Control one. And there we go. It's a very simple way of working with a nice way, as well as working with graphics within the Adobe environment that we normally just sort of print out and cut, matte and layer. Okie dokie. Well, I hope you enjoy the CD. I hope this sort of encourages you to have a go with a graphics package and that you enjoy your crafting. Take care. Bye-bye.